Welcome to the Saints of City and Me audio love letters to and from the city of New Orleans and her saints. Today, it's finally happening. The wives episode. If you've wondered what it's like to be the long-suffering partner of two slightly delusional British blokes who are obsessed with a team 4,000 miles away and a city they don't technically live in, this one's for you. And if you haven't wondered that, and you're just here for the sheer joy of hearing us getting roasted, corrected, emotionally dismantled by our better halves, congratulations, you're also in the right place. So, with a mild sense of dread, please welcome to the pod MKC Mama herself, Karen, and press the missus, Nicole. Ladies, please be gentle. I'm just going to have some Dutch courage.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That pickleback is rank. Welcome.
Welcome.
Hi.
Welcome to
Hi.
the Saints City.
Welcome to Saints of City and Me.
You'd think they've never listened to him.
Oh, do you know what I mean?
We'll get on to that. I think
we'll get on to that.
We'll probably get on
Such
to
a
that
subject.
further down in the episode. So this has been spoken about for a while, hasn't it? And so now it's happening. So I think there's an additional nervousness entering my body. I'm always nervous before a pod, but I don't know why. Why is that, love?
Yeah.
I don't know. I asked you outside. I was like, you said to me, you're nervous. I was like, no. And you were like, I said, you? And you were like, yeah, I am a little bit. I always get nervous before one.
Yeah.
So, it might be extra nervous.
Do you reckon they're a bit afraid of what we're going to let on
They
about?
are. Yeah.
No.
All the secrets are going to come
It's
out.
nothing to tell. Nothing to tell.
Not getting cancelled.
Really? That's what you think?
No. He's got such trepidation in his face.
Oh, my word.
Anyway, we'll see how it goes.
Yes.
Well, it's a not glorious Friday night in the UK, so I think we'll crack on. Should we start with origin stories, Dan? Should we hear yourself and Nick's origin story? How you first met and were Saints a part of the package already?
Do not remember Saints being part of the package, I have to say that.
Would you have bought in if you'd known?
Do I look like the sporty type? Absolutely not. No. So probably not, whether it be football or NFL. But where do we meet? We met in glorious Gants Hill in Ilford.
Love it.
A pub called The Vow, which is now a very large block of flats. And we used to go down to The Vow for karaoke night on a Wednesday and a Sunday, and then used to pay a tenner to get into exactly the same place on a New Year's Eve or something, just because it happened to be New Year's Eve. They took extra money. Anyway.
Dan, were you going there for karaoke?
I didn't sing. I went for the birds.
Yeah, of course you did. And I kind of knew of Dan anyway, and a few of our friends had kind of gotten together, and I'd been working away quite a bit. And I feel like you want to interrupt me, Dan. Wow. Why change the habit of the laughed? Shall I carry on?
You carry on, Nick.
I mean, my memory's not so good, so you might have to fill in the gaps anyway. I got to know Dan, God, how old were we? Like early 20s? 21? 22?
22. The first time we met, we were both shit-faced on doolies.
Oh, yeah. And we've still got the bottle, haven't we?
Well, not that exact bottle, but we
okay.
still have a bottle. It would have curdled and gone pretty rank and lumpy by now. But yeah, we met, and Nick was pretty drunk. I was pretty drunk, and I was like, all right, who's she?
Wow.
And then
all right.
I think no, and then it was maybe like, I suppose, 9 months later, we went out for the first time, Valentine's Day ball.
It was very romantic, right? So Dan doesn't do much on the romantic side, but that we're in the Vow. It was actually a quiz night. Dan's so competitive.
Sunday. It was a Sunday.
It was a Sunday. So competitive. All of our mates were basically dating. I had dates for Valentine's, and I went to the girls' loo, and one of my friends said, "Oh, I reckon Dan's going to ask you out." I was like, "Oh, don't be stupid." But we were sat down doing the pub quiz, and he says he didn't do this, but I remember it vividly. I'm not making it up. He got up in front of everyone. He went, "Hey, what are you doing on Valentine's?" And I was like, "I don't know." He's like, "Do you want to come to the Valentine's ball?" And I was like, "Okay."
I think I was more smooth. I think I was a bit like, no, I got this thing. No, I got no one else to go with.
The women always remember Dan.
No.
If you're not busy, do you want to come?
I was just being really cute. Shut up. Anyway, I was driving. He was not at the time. It took many years for him to drive. And
didn't he
drive? One is still not.
Oh,
shut up. God.
And I remember dropping you off with David Bedingfield playing in the car. Little smoochy, and then we went to the Valentine's ball. There you go.
Nice.
I would have attempted to sing that song, but it's way too high. So that wasn't happening. I could have used the echo effect, Dan.
I think she was playing, I've got to get through this, to be fair, and she's still playing it now. 21 years later.
21 years? We've known each other for longer than 21 years.
Or thereabouts.
Yeah.
What about you, Karen? Did you know that this obsession with New Orleans was on the horizon at school or whenever it was?
No, not in a million years. Obviously, you probably know a bit of the backstory, but for those that don't, I first met Michael when I was 11, he was 12. We went to the same secondary school. Michael was in my brother's year, I was in the year below. And just pretty much went about school life. And then Michael always says, like, he's always fancied me. He's always loved me. And then we went out for about 3 minutes in secondary school. Then he says I dumped him.
She did.
But you know what it's like when you're in secondary school.
When we briefly dated, I remember once I came to your house, and for whatever reason, we ended up having a bit of an argument, didn't we?
I remember.
And I think your mum came out. She was like, "You two get in here now."
Outside. Yeah, my mum don't like arguing in the street.
So,
don't wash your dirty linen in public. Get inside.
I mean, at that age, I wouldn't have even known what we were on.
Would I?
So that's where it started.
So that's where it started. I don't even know how old we were when. And that finished. But then Michael was really good friends with my mum and dad, so he'd always come to our house. He worked in Safeways up the road.
Hey.
And then every time, good old Safeways. And at the time, he'd come on his way home. He lived in Kilburn. He had to come past our house. He'd always get off or walk to our house and just spend hours chatting with mum and dad. They were like your little comfort blanket, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were just like, you were there all the time. So even though he had girlfriends, I had boyfriends, he's always really been close with mum and dad.
Playing the long game, Mike. I like it.
Smooth.
4 years. And then, obviously, like you do, everyone both had different relationships. And then my boyfriend just split up with me. And
He was a Tottenham supporter, Dan.
yeah, nasty lot, them Spurs fans.
They
Nasty lot.
They fire their own eggs.
Literally. So then I was back at home. Then I went out with my mum's sister, my aunt, who's sort of closer to my age. And we went out one night to a pub in Finchley Road called O'Henry's. And then my nana just died. So obviously it was quite a hard time for us because my nan was like, we were always with my nan. It was like a massive family. A matriarch, my nan. So we were like, as a close family, we were a really close family. So my mum and her 2 sisters, all us cousins, we were always together. And then she passed away. And then me and my aunt went out after that to this bar called O'Henry's, and I was literally talking about Michael at the point when I looked up and he was walking up the stairs, and I was like, "Oh my god, I was just talking about you."
No.
Yeah, and that's and then we dated.
Did you fancy him when you saw him in the house, though? You know, knowing that he had other girlfriends.
She wasn't there. She was living.
No, I was living in Enfield.
So I wasn't even playing that smooth game of I'm going to go and see your mum and dad so I can see Karen. She wasn't.
I wasn't there.
I was genuinely very, very close to her.
I thought you was going to say he was outside the house with a boombox.
You can put your arms in front of me. My face.
Well, I've got to do it to film. Demonstrate the
You can
boombox.
just come on my face if you want,
If I'd
Dan.
done this, people would have been looking at the video going, what's he doing? What do you mean boombox? That's like a cassette player.
That's all right. I'm just
Just get out.
Yeah. Anyway,
That was it.
That was 30 years.
Yeah.
That was 30 years ago. Yeah.
Yes.
cute.
So
Beautiful.
crazy
And you're
time
only
since.
21.
So that's our background. So no, he wasn't an American football fan, a Saints fan, nothing. Me and my dad used to go to watch the London Monarchs. That was like my dad and daughter thing we used to do. So I was quite into it back then. Apart from that, no, he wasn't really into it. It was always football.
Dirty Jonah.
Football, don't you
Soccer.
dare say, I swear to God, the amount of Americanisms.
45% of our listeners are based in America. We got to hand the soccer where we can.
No, it just bugs me. The actual Americanisms.
Hey, look, we're not patronising them. We're actually being, solid geezers, letting them.
You're going to see proper KP faces in the whole interview where I would be like,
all right,
see you.
Swiftly moving on, Dan.
That's our story.
Yeah.
Cute.
All right, Dan, what's the next question? Let's do
next
one at a
question
time.
is, when did you realise that this wasn't just going to be this fanaticism that we both have? When did you realise, what was the point when you went, this isn't just a casual supporting of a team, it's like these two are, you didn't know these two at the time, but when did you both independently think, oh, fucking hell, this is becoming a problem.
You were going
Do you
there?
wanna go first? Yeah, I'll go. It's fine. Do you know what? I didn't really ever pay attention to the sports because I'm not interested in sports. I haven't grown up watching sports. But Dan's household, you always had football on the telly, and actually, for many years, you were a season ticket holder to Tottenham. And
Yeah.
got my
Bit
actual
of Norman
fucking
Collier
nerves.
there, Norman Collier.
It really got on my nerves because I lost a lot. I felt like I lost a lot of time with Dan, and when the kids came along, it was quite difficult for me to kind of accept that he had this other hobby that I kind of just had to make room for. But you know, we've all got our little hobbies. But the first time I realised you were really into, let's say, American football first is when you started buying season tickets to the games when they came to London. And I think I knew it was the Saints at heart, but obviously it was a vibe, and I wanted to see a piece of that. And I think I went along to a Jets game.
We went to see. I took you to see.
It was a Jets game. I remember.
It was a Giants. No, I sound right, wrong. So I took you and Evie to see the Colts play the Jags at Wembley.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And then the following year we went to Twickenham and I took you to see the Giants play the Rams. And that was when they did the. Do you remember Langdon Collins got the interception or the strip sack and returned it?
Yeah.
Anyway, so when the game started coming to London, I started to think, okay, he's into this because obviously it's quite an investment and you were going to all 3 games at the time. To be honest with you, when we moved into this house now, over 5 years ago now, and you decided to turn the garage into what I'm surrounded in now.
A wonderful space, Nick, a wonderful space.
You know, I really got it. I mean, I'm sure through the questions that follow, we'll talk about the community and amazing, most beautiful people that we've gotten to know through this sport, including you lovely people, obviously. But I remember it being the London Games and also then when we moved here and how much he dedicated to just making his own space to just embrace what he loved. Yeah. How about you, Kazza?
So, Michael, again, it was mainly football. Don't say the S word. When, like you said, same for you. When the kids were younger, it was Arsenal. You didn't have a season ticket. You like most sports, to be fair, but it was always mainly football. And then you do all the FA Cup final with your mates and stuff, and go and watch the games, Boxing Day, all that sort of thing. You know, like you do. A normal fan, but obviously at the time couldn't even afford a season ticket at Arsenal, could we? So that was that out of the window. So both the boys grew up as Arsenal fans as well. So it was just there was always football on in our house. American football, I think you'd always watch the Super Bowl, no matter who was playing. And because you do have you have quite a wide range of sports that you love. It just, I don't know what it was. The first time you sort of really started getting into it, I think, was when we moved.
Yeah, I think a little bit. I think it's a bit similar to Nick and Dan. I think probably the first time was when we moved, and that would be because
you had your bar.
Yeah. Which
was built. So I think you were obviously into before we moved, because I remember being in Acton and obviously when we did the first gift and stuff. So he'd always loved the idea of New Orleans as a city and loved everything about it, the music, the culture, everything. So he decided to pick the Saints as his team because he thought, match 2 and 2 together, that was going to be his team. So then he just started getting into watching like all the games, didn't you? So on the Sunday you were watching all the games.
It was quite difficult. It would have been quite difficult for Karen because at the time when we were living in Maida Vale, we were in a 2-bedroom flat, which was lovely flat. But at that point, both our kids, like our eldest, would have been 16 or 15 when we so we had 2-bedroom. We decided to give the eldest one and give the youngest one. So we ended up sleeping in the front room. So
on the sofa for 8 years.
So literally, if you imagine, so obviously on a Sunday night, obviously I wanted to watch the games, and obviously I dived I'd watch every game.
Yeah.
So
you literally had the whole thing on.
Karen
I would just be sleeping.
Karen would be in bed, and I'd be sitting next to her watching games on a Sunday night, and so And so that's what we did.
Karen.
Luckily back then I could just put my head on the pillow and I'd conk out. I was a really good sleeper.
Yeah.
So it didn't disturb me in that sense.
Yeah.
And obviously he's always been a night out. I've always been up early. You've always been a night out.
So it worked. It worked
out fine, yeah. It didn't bother me that much. But you just sort of started to get more and more into it and really, really enjoying watching the game. everyone used to say to him, like, how can you just sit and watch a game for like 4 hours? But he loved it. And then obviously then picked the team based on the fact that he'd always wanted to go to New Orleans and loved everything about it. So that's kind of where your team was born, really. Yeah. And then...
Yeah. And it's the same, as you said, same thing. The bar was the big...
Yeah.
That was the big moment where it was like, oh, this is quite serious.
Yeah.
Because that was when I gave up my season ticket. It came to a point where I wanted to watch American football.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it came to a point where you wanted to spend more time with us.
Hang on.
I'll don't be silly, Nick. That's never going to happen.
Let's keep it real.
I found that I was missing out on a lot of family events because Tottenham were always playing on a Sunday because they were in the Europa League and it was playing on a Thursday. Saturdays were out the window. I was missing out on all the family time. And then, coupled with that, they're playing at 4 o'clock on a Sunday. By the time I get home, I'm missing half the NFL games I want to watch because by the time I'm sat in traffic, and it got to the point where it was like, I can't maintain this. One, missing family time, but two, missing out on something which was becoming more of a passion for me. And they
sorry.
At the point you gave up your tickets, they weren't crap, though, were they?
No, that's where I fucked up big time because they brought Pochettino in, and then within like 3 years, they were in the Champions League final, and I was like, but I don't miss it. I don't even watch them really on a Sunday if they're on.
I don't think you do much anymore.
I watch the Europa League final.
Yeah, I still watch Arsenal, but that's mainly, and I think I've said this before, I'm not as into football now, but I still keep my eye on it because both my kids support Arsenal. So my passion for Arsenal is a passion for my kids and wanting them to be able to celebrate their football team. So I still keep an interest in it. And it's one of the, again, because both our kids live away from home, that's the one time, we're in contact with our kids, but that's the one time that we're constantly in contact is when Arsenal are playing.
Yeah.
So it's just nice to sort of retain that thing with the boys. So that's the main reason I sort of keep a more of an eye on football than I did for a long period of time.
I was going to say it would be remiss of me not to mention, however, when I realised how much of a die-hard fan he was, particularly about the Saints, when I think it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday afternoon, you went, Nick, what are we doing at the weekend?
We'll get there in a minute. I know where you're going with it.
Okay.
Let's wait.
Yeah.
We've got the questions teed up. We've got them here. We're ready. We worked on it. No, say we, ChatGPT. But I gave it a load of stuff. I said, turn these into questions. So here's our first quirky question, right? So you know how me and Mike feel about the Saints and New Orleans. If the Saints were your love rival, how would you have to describe them? And you can put it into compare them to a famous person or just, how the competition for our affections.
I would just call the whole thing my guilty pleasure because
it's not guilt. I'm not guilty.
No, but I think part of me is like I've never really been into sports. That's hasn't ever been my vibe. Secretly, I quite love it too, actually. And I think for me, I don't understand the fucking game. Like I'm putting my hands up. Like people move forward a little bit more. Get stopped. They move forward a little bit more.
Are we talking about sexy or are we talking about NFL?
Probably both. But what I do absolutely love is the vibe, but the community and just the celebration. And now, having been to the city, I won't talk about it in case I get told off for talking about the wrong content. But, just I get it. And I think now as Dylan's getting older as well, our son.
Former guest.
Gilbra.
Nickname that after Joey. Joey gave him that nickname.
A little bit like what you were just saying about your boys and Arsenal. I see the connection that Dan has with Dill because he never really had that about Tottenham, and I see how much Dan just loves it. Like if he wants a jersey, let's get him a jersey. If he wants a hat, whatever, he'll just do anything to have him get into. And Dan Dill has literally
fortune.
Dill has literally embraced it big time. He's asking questions and he's excited. Yeah.
Where do you want to sit for the game in October? I want to sit when the players come out.
Can I have the most expensive seats?
Yeah.
So I would call it my guilty pleasure, although I don't feel guilty anymore. But it's definitely a pleasure.
I don't think you really answered my question.
So if it was your
I was going
love
to say
rival,
Sydney Sweeney.
I don't get the question.
If Saints were a love rival, how would you describe them? Describe the Saints as a woman. No. I don't know.
No. Anyway.
Right. She's not interested. We're moving on.
It's just a really weird question. I don't understand it.
What a guess.
Both mugged us off there. First mug off of the episode. There we go.
My response. I'm not so happy anymore.
Day on a Sunday. What is it what's it like in your house, Karen, on a Sunday when the Saints are playing and Mike wants to watch them?
There's an actual routine that goes on, and that
Love it.
is an earlier dinner. So either late lunch, you'd be like, oh, I'll just have a snack later. And then from about, I don't know, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, he'll start getting himself ready, decide what tops he's going to wear, what this, that, and the other. If it's a normal, like, 6 o'clock, is it a 6 o'clock game?
Yeah.
It'll just be, like, wear one of his shirts or whatever, T-shirts, football shirts. And then he'll go, all the drinks have to go in the fridge. They're nice and cold because he hasn't got a fridge over in his bar. This is going back to when we were living in Sazéracs as well. Oh, God, I've done something to you. Anyway, so he'd go and then he'd make sure all his drinks were cold. So have all his beers in the fridge. You have to go shopping, get all your pale ales in. They'd all be in the fridge. And then he'd be like, I need to get my popcorn. So let's go shopping. So there's popcorn and beer and his little snacks. I've had some crisps tonight. I might have some crisps. So there's a whole ritual of like shopping for every NFL game on Sunday. Every game, no matter if they were playing or not. Every Sunday, this is what we had to have in the house. So his beers, his snacks, his popcorn. And then about 5 o'clock, he'd get himself ready. And then if it's 6 o'clock game, like I said, he'd have his normal top or whatever on. And he'd always have like a blue plastic bag. You know, you get the little sandwich bags. And obviously, he'd have an ice machine, nothing over here on the old bar. So he'd have like a whole blue plastic bag full of ice. And that'll be for his drinks. Then, obviously, if he'd eaten, off he'd go.
Yeah, it was rucksack, booze, coffee.
And he'd have his rucksack on his back. He'd have his little thermos with his coffee in, his rucksack on his back with all his bits in.
To go
Chargers.
to the garden.
Yeah, to go to the bottom of the garden. Chargers, baits, the whole lot. Literally, the whole thing. Off he'd go. If it was a late game and he was watching the Saints on a late game, he'd have his Saints pyjamas on with his great big black dressing gown and his Saints slippers.
Yeah.
Off he'd go.
There you go.
So that's it.
I've seen him in
every single Sunday.
Before that bar was built, when you first moved in, and he'd put his iPad when we did the Zoom, and he'd be in his dressing gown, and I'd see his pajamas, and then he'd disappear, go for a cigarette, and come back in his pajamas.
Always the Saints pajamas.
And it's like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Won't be wearing that this year, though.
Why not?
Because we haven't got any late games, so...
Have you got any late games?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No prime time games, so
two
those
9
won't be
o'clock games, and we're going to one of them, so...
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
What
so
about yourselves? What's the...
Oh, actually, sorry. The very first obsession was the very first time he inked and marked his skin. You know, like when everyone has their first tattoo, it's like, it's going to be really meaningful. That was his first ever tattoo.
Yeah, it's a Saints.
And I was fuming. He didn't even have his own children for his first tattoo. It was Nola. His first tattoo ever.
My second tattoo.
No.
My second tattoo is a pic. No, is a picture of my beautiful wife on her wedding day with my children's names down there.
Nick, don't him. His first ever tattoo was a Nola tattoo.
Exactly, and
never forgive him for that.
The second one, which was my beautiful wife's face on my arm.
I don't care about me as much
she
as your
didn't
boy.
even like it.
And Dan, can I ask you a question? Is that your first ever one?
No, about my 12th.
Is that Nick? Is that you?
Yeah.
You're 12. See?
No, so my first tattoo before I met Nick, and then my first tattoo
since you've been with Nick.
Evie, was my Evie tattoo.
Yeah.
And then I got Nick on my back.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
First tattoo
was his daughter's name.
Yeah. Anyway, swiftly
then
moving
his
on.
wife.
But now I've got a Saints helmet, a streetcar, a lamppost.
I mean, he's covered in Saints stuff.
I've got a Saints helmet and he lives in Romford.
Dan, the whole week.
I didn't know where that was going.
Have you got anything to do with Spurs tattoos?
No. I never have a sock.
He won't get an Arsenal one.
No.
I think they're chavvy. I've got an NFL helmet on my arm.
I think they're chavvy, but you're covered in NFL tattoos.
Yeah. I've got
a different
Statue
vibe.
of Liberty and God knows what else.
My God.
Right, we're going to throw that question back to you guys. The superstitions and rituals. Nick, what's he like when he goes over? He goes over early, doesn't he?
It gets real. Honestly, I think he just uses an excuse so he doesn't have to get anything ready for the week ahead, to be honest with you.
Monday is get the kids' school clothes ready.
Fucking black hole on a Sunday, basically. And God forbid we want to speak to him within the hour leading up to the game, the period during,
Yes.
and at least an hour after, so he can talk shit to whoever and put comments out there on his platforms.
They're not my platforms, and some of those drunken comments have got me blocked and banned and barred and ostracised.
I mean,
Nick, I'm with you. I know where you're coming from.
So I think two things I'll call out. First one is the outfit deciding. I mean, having cleaned up the house, obviously, there's at least the remnants of 12 different selections that he's chosen from, and all the dirty shit everywhere, like that close to the fucking wash basket, obviously.
It's like having 3 kids, Nick.
Honestly,
I've got a cupboard just for saint stuff, which is an airing cupboard.
Honestly.
So you've got the shelves of all the towels and the wash stuff in, and then there's a row. It's just all Saints jerseys and bomber jackets and Pelican stuff.
Literally.
And on a Sunday, you'll just see me there like, no, what should I wear today? Oh, I need a hoodie, it's a bit cold.
But also, fast forward to after the game, depending on how the game has gone, I mean, the house is a fair distance away. If it's gone really well, there's no doubt about it. You're going to hear Dan. And it's either roaring with laughter, playing the fucking trumpet, or some nonsense.
I don't play the trumpet, but I have a trumpet.
You attempt to play the trumpet. We've all seen the videos.
Or my New Orleans playlist goes on.
Or you're making skits, absolute nonsense of celebrating drinking. Yeah. Yes. My God, is he coming back this year?
Pete Carmichael Jr.'s gone.
The amount of time, Nick, he must have spent on those Pete Carmichael Jr. skits is remarkable.
And I would be stone cold sober, and he'll be putting 8 brass band on in the kitchen, dancing around, and he'll have me dancing around the kitchen while he's skitting and whatever else he's doing. When it doesn't go so well, he hates the world. Don't fucking talk to me. It was shit anyway. And he gets into bed and goes to sleep. And he's snoring within 5 seconds because he's pissed.
I've normally pissed people off as well on social media, but that's another matter. But I can't help it. I get drunk and I enjoy it, and then I get a bit rambunctious, and I can't help it. I enjoy it. I said to you the other week, Mike, I live my NFL season one Sunday at a time, and I enjoy that Sunday.
Yeah.
You're the same though, yeah.
I mean, it's.
I just don't see the after.
You don't, you don't, because normally, obviously,
just stays over in the bar.
I stay over in the bar.
I don't see him at all.
And I know, like in the
when place, it stays over. It means like a sleepover.
Yeah,
no, but I do.
It does sleep over.
I used to in the old bar, because like you've been there, you know how dark that garden can be at night, and obviously when the NFL season is on, the weather's always not particularly great, and I just can't be arsed walking up that grassy slope to the house in case I go arse over tit. So
I used to down there.
Not in this one, no. But I won't be.
The old one,
yeah. This one's a little bit easier to navigate back and forward.
It's straight down the path. It's flat and it's lit, so he's all right.
So yeah. So Karen never used to see the after effects because I would just fall asleep drunk in the bar.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an easier life for the wife.
Although the other night, oh my God.
Oh God. Yeah.
What was it?
It was when we were doing last.
It was your
pod.
last pod, with Jane.
I think I sent you the clip. Dan.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you're laughing. I still don't know what we were laughing
I can't remember. It was just got about.
I know.
It's gone midnight. Just cut to midnight, and I went out on the patio for a cigarette, and I heard it was like that freaky clown, like laughing policeman laugh, the biggest, oddest laugh, and I was like, "What the fuck was that?" And I could hear him going, "That's wrong on every level. That's so fucking wrong."
I think I know what
you're
talking about. I'm not going to repeat it because
you'll know what you're talking about.
Garden, isn't it?
It was the laugh. I mean, I said it to you, didn't I?
She did, yeah.
What did you hear in the garden?
That was freaky.
Yeah. Right, you think that was freaky, right? I'm going to tell him. I don't care. The other night he was down here.
You're not just telling us, Nick, by the way.
Same night.
Yeah.
Same night. And it wasn't raining. I just want to put that out there. And I just come home from somewhere. I don't know what. Anyway, I just come home from somewhere.
No.
And I opened the door and I thought,
no,
he's not down there. Where the fuck is he? He's not down there.
Because you can see the windows from
I can see through the windows, and I was looking for him behind it, and he's gone down to get something out of the fridge down here, and I was waiting, and he's not there. And I'm like, what? And I was just conscious of the sound of like a running tap, and I'm going to check on the tap on the outside. I've got 2 out. And I thought, fuck, I've left the outside tap on, and it was going and going and going, and I'm going, Dan, no answer, and I'm getting freaked out at this point. I can hear Walter. Where's it coming from? He's got headphones on. He can't hear me, can he? Dan. Anyway, I see someone emerge from the shadows. He don't see me. I just see him, and all I see is him doing up his flies and walking back in, and he still didn't hear me. Anyway, I saw him go back behind the computer, and I just stood and looked at him from the kitchen window and went,
Just shaking your head.
Listen, I'm not going indoors. I lose connection to the headphones. I'm just.
corner. He literally had just opened the door like fucking Mr.
My
Bean,
God.
did his business and shut it.
Mr. Bean.
Wow. Blimey. You're right
Listen,
there, Danielson.
Listen, you got to do what you got to do. And when it's cold, I'm definitely not going outside. So I just,
I've got no shadow of a doubt that's what you used to do and what you probably still do now.
What? Where?
Just go for a piss in
Oh,
the
yeah, I
garden.
used to. We used to live in a fucking forest.
he used to go out and
You had a
squat.
toilet in your bar.
Yeah, but you had to clean it
You
out.
had-
Oh, look, it deterred
And do
badgers.
you know what?
It deterred badgers.
Deter badgers.
Yeah, I read about it.
Wow.
I wasn't doing it because I was desperate. I was doing it for the environment.
Wait, we're now talking number 2 territory. What the fuck?
Oh, no, God, no.
I swear to God,
Oh.
if that ever
She
happened,
did sort of animal
be
didn't I?
divorcing him as quick as anything.
Keeps the badgers
Whatever.
away, apparently.
Talking of shit,
It was, yeah.
at your barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Oh.
About that again.
When he tried in the dog shit in the garden.
That was, yeah.
Yeah, I
Everybody,
was
don't do
mortified.
this. Don't do this. Don't do this.
Why were you mortified? Don't be ridiculous. You cleaned it up. I was like, they are going in the bin. They're not
It was
even coming
Karen was
anywhere near my
ruthless.
house.
Put him in the bin. Put him in the bin.
No.
He's like, no,
They
in my
wouldn't have come
sanctuary.
in.
Put him in the
They were
bin.
Air Force Nolers. They weren't going anywhere near a bin.
They were.
I
I'd have
cleaned
burnt
him up
them,
for
love.
you, mate. Don't worry.
Thanks, Nick.
You're
Thanks,
so
Nick.
I'm the
good.
only one who deals with the shit.
I
Don't
did-
do dog shit. That's one of
Dan,
I
I
don't
tell
do
you, I
dog
did
shit.
commend you
Wait,
last week. I did commend you last week.
She heard it in the
did-
car.
Do you want to? Should we just talk? Right. Obviously, the only time, obviously, well, there are a couple of times where, well, one time I think in the house that we've watched the Saints game, which you then couldn't watch. But we'll probably touch on that later when we talk about the. Well,
Oh, yeah.
I suppose it's funny because it's a segue into visiting the city, isn't it? Because I think one of the questions we've got here, Dan, is what are the highs and lows of watching games together? But the only games that we would have watched with wifeys are the ones that we've been to live. Although Karen did watch one game when we lived in Acton.
Watched a
Divisional
couple
round.
of games.
Eagles game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we could talk about the highs and lows, but unfortunately you've only known lows, haven't you? Because the 2 games that you've been to were absolutely horrific.
Low.
Yeah.
But what's it like? You touched on it earlier, Nick, where you were saying about the community and the fact that you love it now. And I think part of what you love is actually the whole game day experience as well, because it is. I think me and Dan have spoken. It's fantastic. You know, you don't get that in football over here. It becomes a day, doesn't it? It's a full day, not just like a 2-hour segment over here to watch football. What your experience of game day, ladies? What did you love about it?
In New Orleans.
In New Orleans.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the glitz and the glamour and the vibe and the music and the community and the family, just everything about that just kind of solidified my understanding from Dan's perspective, I suppose, and why he loved it so much. I've got to keep coming back to the people. We were just arriving at the game. We'd met Steve, hadn't we? And we walked into kind of, I don't know what you'd call it.
We
like
didn't
the
meet
lobby.
Steve was late. We met Mr. Jerry in the.
There you go.
And
All I
Jerry
heard
and
was-
Jerry.
Yes.
No,
all the-
that's
Mr.
not her
and Mrs.
name.
Jerry.
That's not her name.
Oh,
The joke went to when we was. You're not in shock.
you can tell the story if you
No,
want to.
listen. Let me give you some context. The reason we called her Miss Jerry and Jerry is because when we was in New Orleans, we introduced Jerry to Aaron.
yeah.
We said, "This is Jerry," and he went, "Hello, Jerry," and we said, "This is his wife." He went, "Hello, Jerry." We called her Jerry and Jerry.
Oh,
Jerry's not her name.
No, I can't remember her name. But I do remember them being lovely.
Mary.
But I
Mary.
Jerry and Mary. We walked into that like lobby where they had some seating before you were allowed into the dome. And you just hear, Dan, is that you? And I just, from the moment we met him, and he was like the first kind of contact that we had, I suppose, with
At the
people
game,
at the game, yeah. I mean, he was speaking to the kids saying, "Oh, your dad's one of the nicest people that I've ever met," and blah blah blah. I'm not speaking you up.
Jerry
But-
does lie quite a lot.
No.
He's do you know, considering
Renowned
he's a
for it.
police officer, he's renowned.
But I just, how can I just remember when we met Eric and others and Shane and Jess, I saw and I got to know a different side of Dan that I'd never known in the two decades that we'd been together. And for me, like, God, I don't want to say the soppy shit, but I'm going to say it. It made me love him even more, if that makes sense.
God.
Like, no, it is.
Wow.
You didn't tell me to say that.
I did not. I wouldn't have had her on if I knew she was going to say that.
But seriously, I don't know, when you're on the hamster wheel and you don't do much together as a couple, and then, like, I don't know, I got to know Dan on a different level. I think just hearing from his friends about how they'd connected with him on all the trips he'd been on and stuff like that. So yeah, it was really cute, and I just love the people that we've gotten to know, the community.
Lucky we didn't bump into any of them strippers from Bourbon Street. I'd have been right up shit street.
Oh, to be fair though, when we went down Bourbon Street,
too expensive.
Karen, when we went down Bourbon Street, I actually said to Dan, like, is this where you come when you go on a guy's holiday? I just thought they were literally spending time on the strip all the time, and I thought, what the actual fuck?
I just said it was like Magaluf on steroids.
It was Magaluf.
I was so shocked.
I was so
shocked. I don't know what I was expecting, but it weren't that.
Yeah, just going back to your point, Nick, which was, it was lovely hearing your point. I think the unfortunate thing from my perspective and Karen's is that Karen's 2 trips to the city were before I knew anyone over there. So obviously the first trip was a complete and utter surprise to me. And I just, because even at that point I hadn't met Dan. I hadn't really got very much sort of into the American community of Saints fans. And so the 2 visits we had, we didn't really know anybody over there. So Karen hasn't had that. She's had it in the UK now, but she didn't have the opportunity in the US to meet some of the people that we've met out there. And I think you sort of touched on it there, Nick. It's remarkable when you see that you can have such a connection with people that are 4,000 miles away. And it's
you've got people on Facebook now that you've never actually met.
Yeah, there is that, but also, like, life gets in the way, I get it, but there are people that literally live around the corner that we have known for 20 years, right?
30 years.
Family even, that wouldn't drive half an hour to have a coffee with you. And there's people jumping on a flight, on a train for hours.
He drove how long to come and see me in New York?
Hours and hours to come and spend time.
Drove from Scranton, Pennsylvania to New York City to spend 3 hours watching the game and then went back.
Right. It's just unreal. How about you, Kaza?
Again, so I don't have any experience with any of that community. All I can sort of speak from is since Michael's probably connected with.
Sorry, I'm just disappearing for 2 seconds. Carry on talking.
But we outside. He's going for we outside. He's going for blue outside. He's going for blue outside.
He better not be. I'll divorce him. He's just standing over in a fag. I don't know why, because he smokes an air rubber pod. Oh, he's got the up with me now. I just know from, obviously, the first name I ever heard out of all Michael's, I suppose, people he's connected with was yours, Dan. And there was just some sort of, like, I don't know, kindred spirit meeting of souls alike. And you just, I think, you know, again, where Michael was probably a bit sort of disjointed in the fact of, you know, just things in life, I think, to be honest, and finding this sport that he absolutely loved and became obsessed with, but actually finding a community of people that he's just loves. He literally doesn't stop talking about you guys all the time. I hear names pop up. Again, unfortunately, I've never met these people, but obviously I met a few of them at your barbecue, but before that, I just didn't have a clue who he was talking about, but he talks about you guys all the time. Alex, obviously, I finally got to meet Alex. I was picking Michael up from the airport from one of his trips. I met Alex very briefly then, but obviously all the stories and stuff that I hear of all the people that he's met, of all the stories of, like, you know, again, people just going out of their way, like, so generous, so kind, such lovely, lovely people. And he's changed as a person since meeting you guys, to be honest. He's completely changed as a person. Again, I think we all joke, me and the boys, we're like, Saints friends. Proper, like, in-betweeners. Literally, like, every time he talks about it, we just go, yes, I'm going to meet my Saints mates the weekend. And we're just like, he just waits for it now. We're like, Saints friends. And we're all the in-betweeners, like, gifts going on in the messages and stuff. But we all take the milk. Huh?
I'm all of them.
You're all good.
He's just like, Saints friends.
That's good.
So, yeah, so I'm going to meet my Saints friends.
Let's say that.
And I'm going to meet my Saints friends. But I will have to say, like, as much as we all take the piss and out of him and stuff, like, all three of us, me and both the boys, are just, especially with some of the places that he's been, sort of, you know, in his life and stuff. Stuff hasn't been great in the past. This has been a lifesaver for him, honestly. Just seeing him and the boys, like, they're so happy to see him happy. Some parts have been tough, but I think this has completely changed the person who he is, changed the way he sees the world, sees people, communicates with people. It's just unreal. And the fact that, like, he could just go somewhere now to a completely different country, fly 10 hours across the world, and he has a community of people. He could stay with any one of them. If he was ever in trouble, there'd be someone to help him out. It's just a different world for him. And I've seen the change in him is unreal, absolutely unbelievable. And I know, Dan, a lot of that's down to you, because you two are, I look at you two like brothers now, like it's ridiculous. But I mean that in the loveliest way as well. But I think that's the biggest
Not
change.
just the grey beards.
In the lovely, yeah. Sometimes I like take screenshots of you two when you're doing a podcast. I'm like, literally, they look like we're separated from birth sometimes. Like, I look at you, like the colouring of your beards. I'm like, actually, do you know what? Not anymore. No. Shaved it off. It'll be back. It'll be back.
It will. Nick, I've got no.
I have this every summer. I'm like,
no saying it, Nick.
Sake. Yes, you have. You just come downstairs, had no beard left.
I'm not allowed to shave mine off anymore. She's told me. She said, "You're not Jason Momoa."
Oh, honestly, but he shaved it all off a couple of weeks ago. I was fuming.
I've seen the pictures of you without a beard, and I'm telling you, you're not allowed to shave it off anymore.
I look like a potato. There's no definition. It's just a blob.
Mark looks like he got
this thing about when people shave their beards off, they look like nonsense. So that's why I can never do it.
Oh, for God's sake!
See?
Can I just point out, after Karen's lovely, touching words, which I did find very touching, Dan just counters it with, people without beards look like nonces.
After they've had a beard, it's the Matthew Kelly.
Yeah.
He wasn't a nonce.
So
he was not a nonce.
Yeah. Right. You know, we were talking earlier about having to cut things out.
No, I'm keeping it in. He said.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna quickly touch on the point that Karen made, which I did find very touching. Now I know that's true, because she said that to me anyway. But yeah, it is right. It's like, we've spoken about it quite openly on the pod before about, mental health issues, and, people suffer and all that stuff. And obviously we more or less did a whole sort of pod with Jess regarding that sort of subject matter, didn't we? Because yet again, important to talk about. And yeah, and I struggled, and we've spoken about the fact that I think the pair of us have struggled over time. So I think that was part of the kindred spirit thing, is that two very similar people who have had difficulties, sort of found one another, but then were able to actually talk to each other and be supportive to each other. And I think that's a huge thing, because especially in the male community, you don't often find that. And I think that's been part of one of the wonders of the relationship that's been born out of supporting the Saints, and obviously the wider community and all that good stuff. But yeah, it has been life-changing. I think I say it to most people when I meet them, I'm over 50, and the fact that I've got a completely different sort of section of friends now who absolutely I could call on if I was in trouble, whether it be over on this side of the Atlantic or the other, is remarkable. That's absolutely incredible to be able to say that.
When we go away, one of the first things Nick says to me is, "Do you know someone who lives here?"
Who are we meeting?
Because we went to San Fran, I was like, "Well, we're going to go meet Eric."
Yeah.
And then I was in Vegas, found out London was visiting Vegas, so I went and met London.
Yeah.
We met some people in LA.
New York.
Joey.
And Caris and Charlie.
Ollie, and then
Alex,
obviously,
and you came and met us in Central Park. Oh yeah, Alex and Eve,
stalked me in Central Park. But in New Orleans, like we went out for dinner with Ross and Bill, and then we went out with Jess and Eric, and just like wherever we go, we feel like we've got some friends, and it makes you feel like home, no matter where you are.
It does.
So give me a fucking green card, Trump.
Even better, a gold card would be nice.
Let's not talk about that, fella. Not with what's happened in the last 24 hours.
Well, it's good. Good.
Yeah.
Oh, well done.
No. See, the wife is just destroying everything now. I don't even know.
I just put my foot
Darling,
out. It's
I
a
don't-
switch.
You're gonna have to budge
Oh
over.
God, so dramatic. Honestly.
We'll be back in a sec.
That looks well done.
That's one for YouTube. Anyone who's just listening, yeah, go to YouTube about the.
I just kicked my foot. I think it was that
53
plug on the
minute
wall,
one.
love.
Oh no, sorry,
Oh, it was that plug there. Oh, it was a switch.
Dan. You might have to cut this
I'll
out.
have to cut this bit.
Oh, it had to be made, didn't it? Jesus. There you go. I don't know why you can't
There
turn it
you
on
go.
from there, though.
It's probably you just have electrical switch.
Panic over.
I like the way I'm getting blamed for it because I'm like, oh, I don't know what's going on.
Dramatic about it, love. That's what I'm going to say.
This sounds all too
Anyway.
familiar.
Yeah.
Except me
No,
blaming
it's because there's a fuse box on there, so obviously I don't know. Anyway, where were we?
I only blame you because I'm right and you're wrong.
Well, yeah.
You're talking
I might
about your
do-
community of people in America, in
We
New
are,
Orleans.
so, Mike, we're on section 4 of the agenda of
Oh, are we?
25 items.
No, it's got an
Yeah,
agenda.
Yeah. What's the most New Orleans thing that we've convinced either of you to do?
Oh my God. I'm going to need time to think on that one.
Yeah, I think that's quite a difficult one.
No, actually,
What do you mean, in New Orleans or here?
Or outside of it?
No, I'd never heard of king cake, so I quite enjoy it when you make an absolute batch full of
Yeah.
beautiful king cake. And despite not having been to Mardi Gras or Jazz Fest or any French Water Fest or anywhere else that you've been, we do definitely embrace it. We've now got a Mardi Gras wreath for the door, a bit like a Christmas wreath, which is nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all purple,
Yeah.
gold, and green baubles.
Yeah, a few people did say,
Love
you've
that.
left your Christmas decorations
Oh, do
up.
you know what? Our neighbours have left their fucking teeth.
We've got different colours this year.
Exactly.
They should have known. I took it down on Ash Wednesday. It was like, boom, down. done.
Exactly. So yeah, we know all about king cake baby.
We embrace. Yeah, I've got you embracing tradition now, right? So
I think so.
they know they can't have king cake past Mardi Gras Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they'll say, "Can you make king cake?" And I go, "I'll make it, but I'm not putting the purple gold and stuff on it. I'll just make it like a giant cinnamon roll." So I'm a bit.
I seem to remember you were delivering king cake through COVID as well.
I did through COVID. I made king cakes and I drove round and dropped off at people's houses.
Yeah.
Maybe the second year of COVID, like
Yeah.
February 2021.
So I think that's been a new adoption for us, hasn't it?
So we celebrate Mardi Gras now.
Yeah, for sure. Just trying to think what else. Oh, barbecue. I guess just general menu. We've embraced a whole new.
We lost some friends because
Your barbecues are epic.
they said all he does is cook New Orleans food. It's boring. So well, fuck off then, because I'm spending like 200 quid when you come round, 300 quid on food. If you don't like it, fuck off.
Yeah, that wasn't the only reason.
It wasn't the only
No,
reason.
no.
But when I found that out, I was like, fuck them.
But
They was happy to eat my fried grilled oysters that me and Mike bought. Fucking bastards.
I think the big smoke out thing, the whole barbecue thing, has come from like the Americas in general. But I think the actual what's on the menu now is very different. And I always say now that if I was on death row, my last meal would absolutely be Dan's jambalaya. It's just, and that's not an analogy.
Yeah,
for something. It's just
Dan's got a talent for it, hasn't he? There's no doubt about that. Obviously, I know he puts the effort in and stuff, but he's genuinely got an effort. And yet again, all of the foods that you talk about, the muffalata and the fact that he does his own bread. That was sensational. It's simply sensational. I don't, people might think, "Oh God, you're overstating it," but genuinely,
it's the homemade bread. It's the homemade bread that did it. You know what? Don't laugh.
Yeah.
My favourite.
I actually think. I was thinking, where's the big pot gum from the gumbo? Is it still in the other fridge?
In the fridge with a leftover gumbo in it. Oh man, that's gonna be fiery.
My
shit.
God!
Oh my big God, it's been in there 2 weeks.
That's going to be disgusting.
Oh, that's bad. We've got the
Good luck
other
getting rid
fridge in
of
the
that.
other shed.
You might be stick it in one lump in the black bin.
There's going to be an alligator living in there.
No, well, I'll give it a go. Penicillin. They say it's always better the day after gumbo, but what about 20 days after?
Yeah.
But do you actually like gumbo?
My favourite when it comes to your barbecue is the beef brisket. It is unbelievable. Never tasted beef like that. It's incredible. And your potato salad.
Oh, that's what he's
I know, my potato salad is the Louisiana recipe.
Yeah.
The jambalaya. I must have had 4 plates. It's ridiculous.
That potato salad we were eating for about 5 days after them.
Evie.
Oh, yeah, don't you remember Evie? Oh, sound's gone.
That's it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sound went there for a sec.
Okay.
When we were in your bar later that night, and Evie came in with a cup, big paper cup, big one. And I was like, oh, bless her, she's eating like ice cream. And she was like, oh my God, just can't get enough of this potato salad. She had a cup like that big. She was just eating her away. I was like, oh my God, that stuff's so good. She was like, I know.
The thing is, the difference is
Best.
like you go to someone's house here, they
It's
do
such
potato salad,
fucking host, though.
they leave the potato salad, the potatoes like just halved. When you get in like New Orleans, they mash it all down, right, Mike? Don't they? Because they don't just cut them in half. They use like full size potatoes and dice them, and it's almost like more like a creamy egg mayonnaise mash, I suppose.
And egg in it as well. Oh my God, it was so good.
And a bit of pickles as well, pickle juice in it as well.
It's good shit.
No, I'll
So
try it.
good.
I'll try it.
I'm hungry now.
How about you? How about you, Karen? Is there anything you've adopted?
What was the question? I forgot what the question was now. I'm talking about food. Question's gone.
What's the most
Hungry as
New
well. Where's
Orleans
our
thing that I've
snacks? You didn't
convinced you
set
to
up
do?
snacks for us.
I think it's travelling to the city.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's not, that's ordinarily not somewhere that you would have chosen to go, I don't think at all. But you didn't choose to go there. You chose it for me. So I think we, again, may have touched on it in probably our very, very first podcast, but you just want to outline exactly what happened on
Yeah, so obviously Michael was obviously really into New Orleans and, and the whole American football thing. And I was just going online, it's coming up to all sort of near Christmas. I'm like, oh, what can I get him? And I was like, had this little brainwave, and I was like, I knew they were finishing the season sort of January time, and they were still playing. So Michael was talking about the games, and I was like, oh my God, what if I did a trip to New Orleans and got tickets for a game? So I go online and I spoke to my dad, and I was like, do you think it's like a bit mad, a bit extravagant, or? And he was like, oh, do you know what? He's going to love it. And I was like, right, I just need to speak to someone. I thought, if I'm going mad, am I going to do the right thing or not? I didn't know. So he was like, no, he's going to love it, obviously. So I started going online, found tickets. It kept saying TBC, but it let me buy 2 tickets. And it was at the Dome. I bought 2 tickets and I sorted out the flights, and I was so happy with myself. A couple of days before Christmas, I started doing this little treasure hunt. So I did all these little clues, and it was all to lead. So I'd made these 2 golden tickets for basically saying you're going to New Orleans for the game. And it was on his the game was on his birthday on the 19th of January. It's on the, no, it wasn't. It was on the 19th.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think it was 19th. I think it was 19th. I can check.
Well, we were going to be over there for his birthday. So I'd taken like cards and stuff. So I thought, right, so this was a Christmas present. So I'd done all that. I was all proud of myself. Did it in like a black and gold box, and all the clues. He's opening all his clues. I can't remember what I said now. All his clues. I was making them rhyme, and to go and find all these different things. And it all ended up being this golden ticket. So he finds this golden ticket, and he's like, oh my God, wow. And I was like, he was excited, but I was a bit like, well, I thought he'd be a bit more.
No, I was excited.
No, so you were excited, but I was a bit like, there's a slight apprehension. And I was like, is there a problem? Have I done something wrong? And he was like, no. He said, but we're not actually.
No, I'm just going to very quickly interject there. I didn't.
Oh, see.
I did.
You do it too.
I didn't tell. No, I didn't tell Karen until Christmas evening, because I told you, Karen, about the fact that even though she got it for the NFC Championship game, we still had the divisional game to play.
So it wasn't a given.
Yeah, that's why the TBC.
They weren't going to be playing. But obviously, it wasn't like to be confirmed, as in, like, they let me buy the tickets. So I went through Ticketmaster, they let me buy them, downloaded them onto my phone. So I'm printing all these things off Christmas Eve, day before Christmas Eve. And then that night he said to me, we don't know if we're going to be able to play it yet. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, we've got to win this game before we can go to the playoffs. And I was like, oh shit. And he was like, but it's such a lovely present. And I was the whole time. So it was, when the game day came, when he had to watch the game to see if they were going to get to the playoffs to actually play at the Dome, I was like, I can't watch.
Well,
I can't watch. I've got to go to bed.
You know, Dan, it was the game against the Eagles, the divisional game, and we went 14 zip down. Karen, because Karen was watching it, and the moment that happened, she went, I can't watch this anymore, and like very defeated, and went to bed. And I actually, because obviously the way we were playing at the time, I sort of said to Karen, we're going to win this. It's not, don't worry about it. And then obviously Karen didn't know until the next morning when she woke up. So it was beautiful. I mean, I said to Karen I'd go anyway because obviously I wanted to go and see the Saints, but the fact that it was going to be my first trip to the city, I'd have loved it anyway. But the fact that it all played out, obviously, until we then got to the game, that was
that game.
The
trip
game was still fantastic.
Yeah, it was. It was lovely. It was a lovely place. Again, walking onto, did you say Bourbon or Bourbon? I don't know. Bourbon Street. I always got Bourbon Street. Anyway, walking onto there, and I was like, this is not, you sort of see those like old films and like you think it's all going to be like all cool jazz and everyone's like, I was like, what is this? It's like Magaluf. What is going on? I was like, it was neon signs everywhere, people screaming, drunk in the street. I was like, oh my God, it's like being in Spain. What the hell's going on? But it was lovely. It was great. All the bars we went into. And then I think it was the next day, we walked around the city all day and then we stopped off at this little bar and then we got a po' boy. Again, first time I've ever had one, and it was just insane. I was like, "This is the best thing I've ever eaten." And it was just like, the roll with the beef brisket in, the pickles. I was like, oh "My God, this is to die for!" And that was there in Rome.
Po' boy, Mike.
Yeah, that was funny. It was because when we were talking about doing this, and because Karen's sort of trips were 5 or 6 years ago, obviously there are certain hazy moments about where we went and where we ate, and so I was looking through pictures last night.
Looking for last night.
Yeah, and it got to it, and then I realised that, obviously everyone is aware how much I love going to the Aaron Rose, but actually my first ever visit to the Aaron Rose was actually on my birthday for that po' boy.
Yeah.
So that's the first time I ever went.
Yeah.
For my birthday.
Funny story, the first bar I ever walked into in the French Quarter was the Aaron Rose.
Oh.
Because our cab driver dropped us off. They were trying to take us somewhere. We went, no, we want to go to the French Quarter. And they dropped us off on Conti. And we walked down, we walked in the Aaron Rose, and it was just opened, and there was nothing going on in there. We just grabbed a quick beer and left. But that was the first bar I ever went into in the French Quarter. Then it got a bit. Mike, do you want to do a couple of quick fire questions? Have you got you got the note up in front of you? I got the pronunciation challenge.
Shit.
Yeah, go on.
Nick, do you want to take number one? That one at the top there.
It's going to be fucking New Orleans, isn't it?
Yeah, what that word there, beginning with T.
What?
Can you pronounce that?
Oh my God, that's not spelt right, is it?
It is spelled right. We drove down that street.
Chupatoulas.
To Chupatoulas. Karen, you want to have a go?
Karen?
I said Chupatoulas.
Chupatoulas. Mike, do you want to give us the right one?
It's Chopatula.
Oh, whatever.
What about his second one here? Big shout out to our guy Ross Jackson. Can you say this word?
Lanig.
Lanyap.
A silent J.
Can we take it, Mike?
Yeah, go. No, well, yeah, go on.
Lanyap.
Lanyap?
Yeah,
Oh.
Lanyap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Number 3, I can't even pronounce. I don't know if you can, Mike.
Chafalea.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've got the same question there twice. Can you use lanyap in a sentence?
Got no idea what it means,
I
babe.
did explain that.
I can't remember what it meant.
I say, give me a little bit of lanyap.
Money.
A little bit of extra.
Oh, a little bit of extra.
So if you go into somewhere and they give you something to eat
extra.
and they put a little bit extra cream on top, go a little bit of lanyap.
Oh, okay.
A little bit extra bacon on your little bit of lanyap.
All right.
That's what Ross does. He gives you a little bit of lanyap on his podcast. Last one. Go number 5.
Pontchartrain.
There you go. You got that one.
It's late.
Yeah, Pontchartrain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, that weren't too bad.
That was all right. Not too bad.
Chupitula.
Chupitula. Go down Chupitula. Go to tips on Chupitula.
It just sounds like somebody's in the South has named their child.
Yeah.
How do you?
Yeah.
What?
You're cutting out a little bit for. I think that might be to do with our earphones rather than you guys. But carry on. Do it. It's only.
I'm gonna go to section 5, Mike. So, how do you girls, women, lovely ladies, feel about the time and energy we put into the podcast? Maybe I say time and energy, probably a lack of over the last couple of months, but it over the 2-year period we've been doing it.
2 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is.
Yeah. How do I feel about it? I think it's really cool that you've got a platform to talk about your genuine love for the Saints, the city, and yourselves.
I feel really proud of you guys as well. Yeah.
But for me, it's not just the time that you put in before and during; it's after as well, because you like to edit pretty much straight away, didn't you? There's a dedication there.
I'm pretty drunk when I try and edit most of the time, so probably
maybe
should
you are.
give. There's a couple of squeak through, and I'm like, nah, I probably would have cut that if I was sober.
But how do
I think we have said, haven't we? We're going to probably maybe try and record on a Friday and then put it out on a Monday, because that just gives you that extra bit of time, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I'll edit this one
to
tomorrow,
censor it?
which is Saturday for those of you who are listening back.
Yeah. So is the question, how do we feel about the time or the dedication?
Just generally.
Generally, I'm really chuffed.
I do feel proud of you guys. I think there's a huge sense of pride that you've done this. We were speaking about it for a while before that you actually did it, but
I had a few names for it, didn't we,
you've
Mike? That
spoken
weren't
about it
very
for quite a
good.
while before. What was that?
Sorry, mate.
We had a couple of names for it that were shit before, when we was like, this is a bit wank, like, don't like this. And then I went to ChatGPT and said, I want to do a podcast about this, and this with my friend Mike, and give us some names. And it spat some out, and it had a variation of like what it is now. And I was like, well, if we just changed that, that's a pretty cool name. And that's how it came from, the Saint City of Me.
And that was when, obviously, talking about it for ages and ages, and I don't know if I'd been away somewhere or whatever, but then suddenly
we've been to French Quarter Fest. No, we've been to Jazz Fest.
Yeah, but and then suddenly it was we got back to the UK and there was an intro to the Saint City and Me, and Dan was like, "Have a look at this," and it was like, "Fuck, we have to do it now."
Posted it. And that was when Ross Jackson went, everyone get behind this. And we was like, we hadn't even put an episode out yet. And I'd never met Ross. You'd never met Ross. I think you just chatted with him. And all of a sudden they got us like, I don't know, 500 followers. We hadn't even put a podcast out.
Yeah.
It's slowed down now. We're only at 800 followers now.
Yeah.
There
have been some issues in between those times. And also, as we've outlined before, we've had things going on in our lives where we've not been putting regular product out there, and also, you know, we need to jump back on it and do things the way we were doing it before. Do either of you ever listen to any of the episodes?
I've listened to a few. I mainly listen to them when they're on in the car, because Dan seems to like listening back to them.
No, hold on. That sounds very vain and very arrogant. I will listen to it after I post it in the car to make sure that nothing is catastrophically wrong with the episode. So
There's nothing wrong with listening to it. It's your podcast, for God's sake.
And also, that counts as a listen. I'll do it once it's live, rather than listen to it before I post it and waste the listen.
No, but also, if we've been on a long trip, you've put some on so the kids can hear it as well. If it's been a funny one.
Well, I have to be careful. But I'm like,
God, I would never let
Jesus.
I can tell you the episodes that I've off the top of my head, I know exactly which episodes I've made them listen to so that I can brag. So the episodes I've made them listen to,
they're the ones where we don't swear very much. Nick Underhill,
Nick Underhill, Jeff Reinbold, Jeff Duncan, Jess.
Yeah,
they're the ones I made them listen to. I may have made Nick. I remember Nick listened to the first Ross Jackson one we did, and she was like, "His voice is so smooth." I was like, "Whoa, hold on a minute! Listen to these dulcet tones of the estuary."
Yeah, but we know Ross Jackson's voice is very smooth. Pro. I mean, Ross has got the benefit of the fact that he's got a computer for a brain, but he's also got that sort of drawl that sort of draws you in as well.
It's got a very smooth voice.
It's very smooth, you know, no stuttering, you know, just
it's almost like my two. Yeah, they're probably two of my favourite episodes we've done, because Ross was just so cool, but also I never ever thought we'd get Nick Underhill to come on our podcast, right? I know that, and Nick could just be like, I'm just a journalist, but he's like the most popular journalist, and I was like, he'll never come on. And the fact that he messaged us, went, I'll come on if you want. I was like, what?
Yeah, and it's always one of those things.
Nick, these are all my friends now. I go, these are all my friends. So I got Nick a glass of water at Nightfall. Yeah, we're buddies now. I'd say most of the people we're buddies with. I think now we're friends. We're friends with Ross, definitely.
Yeah,
Jeff Duncan.
I'm going to move on from Nick.
All right. Anyway, let's go. He's like, you'll say your friends, you hanger on.
No.
All right. It was almost, I was going to say, the most bizarre thing you've ever heard whilst recording the episode. I think Karen touched on that last week. And she just heard the howling banshee.
Touched on it last week as well.
Yeah. That wasn't. Yeah, and that was also a noise, wasn't it? So we've already gone through that one. Do you want to go through the rapid fire, Mr. Harper?
Yeah. All right. What? Yeah. So we've got example questions and a rapid fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Beignets or scones?
Beignets.
Nick's not a fan of beignets.
I'm not really a pastry person though, so do I have to choose one of them?
Well, it's just.
All right, it has to be scones. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
This question is a French Quarter of the Cotswolds. What fucking weird
Cotswolds.
question is that? What?
I chose
haven't been to
Cotswolds.
Cotswolds. No, I'd say French Quarter.
Who would
This
you
next
trust
question's
more?
weird as well.
I must have chat GPT this. Who would you trust more of a secret? Your husband or a Saints fan who just met? I don't think that's a shit question.
Yeah.
I didn't quality check that one.
I thought Margaret was like,
Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's see if
ChatGPT's
they
great
listen to
as
it.
long as you review what it said.
Yeah, let's see how much they listen to us. So, if one of us was to bring one Saints player to dinner on a Sunday, roast beef, Yorkshires standard, who would it be?
Mario Davis.
If I don't choose one player, like Drew's retired now, but Drew would.
Yeah.
You got one
I did say that
opportunity.
first, didn't I?
Yeah.
Because I think that would be everyone's. Like,
Yeah,
you've got to pick his brain.
Yeah, I think that's everyone's answer. And yeah, again, and this is like, and we've seen this in previous episodes, haven't we, Dan? It doesn't matter what subject matter you talk about when you're sort of talking about the history of the Saints. And we used to do it quite a lot because it used to be one of our regular questions, didn't it? Which is about your favourite Saints player. And we always said you couldn't pick Drew Brees. And actually, when you think about it, that's just so unfair.
It is. The bastards.
I don't know why you omit him from
No,
it
we
because
don't know. And I'm actually
that's the
saying,
first
yeah,
one I said.
I'm actually
because
saying
he's just
now.
like the actual.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I said that to you, and you were
Yeah.
like, "No." He was like, "Maybe Alvin Kamara," but actually, Mario Davis.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, I would have said Drew Brees straight away.
Yeah.
But there you go.
How many Saints jerseys is too many Saints jerseys?
See, I'm the worst person to answer this because if you take me shopping, I'm going to tell you to buy everything because I'm like, you live once, be happy, variations, every colour. If you love something, embrace it. And I think that's why, again, I just love the whole thing because I'm like, be happy.
Do you know, I remember when we went to the Dome, Nick went for the first time. She went off to get some food and drinks, and we're sitting there watching players getting ready to come. Might have been like they might have just done the national anthem, and she's come back. I remember she just walked up to me and she went, "I love it here. I absolutely
Can't hear
love
you
it
guys.
here."
Sorry, frozen.
She went, "I love it here. I absolutely love it," because she just saw everything that was going on. And she was like, "This is it. I love it."
I saw the shops as well, and I thought I want some of that. Yeah, I really like the Erin Andrews stuff. But it's really spenny. It's all the glittery. Can you hear us? Okay.
Yeah, it keeps cutting out. You froze
that keeps
for a long
freezing.
time there.
Yeah.
Dan, can you pause it for a sec?
Take these out, maybe.
Yeah, I need to.
Does it count me in? Oh no, it starts straight away. Oh fuck. Sorry, we had a pause there because I had to go and have a big pony. I didn't. It was Nick, but I didn't want to take. Oh shit! Did I say that out loud? No.
I went and booked some flights.
You booked some flights. I revealed to Karen that Mike needs to book some flights that you hadn't told her about. That was a bit of a fuck up, eh, Mike?
Yeah, and to be honest, it was a fuck up on my part.
It's always a fuck up on your part.
Yeah, thanks.
I was like, yeah, Mike's going to be like +1 at a wedding in New Orleans. And Karen's like, what wedding?
This is my life, Nick. This is my life.
And then also, Nick,
part of being a Saints wife.
And then she also then just found out that when Eric is having his stag do, which is going to be in Chicago for the Bears game, I'm in Chicago for the Bears game, so I get to go to his stag do as well, or at least.
What Nick don't know is I am too. Right. This section is called Just for Laughs. I don't know if it's going to be funny, probably not, but they're more to do with my delivery than the responses. So, what is worse? Our mood after a Saints loss or our snoring? Now, I fucking slept with Mike. No, I haven't slept with Mike.
Oh my God.
I've slept in the same room.
I don't snore badly.
Well, you make quite noises.
Jesus H.
What do you
say
think?
mood after a Saints, although you've probably been used to it this season, but you still get proper moody and you just whine and whinge and moan about the team and they're not performing, we're never going to win anything, and I've got to make changes, and yeah.
I don't
pretty
even
much
think
like British football.
I don't know if I can limit the response to just your mood after a loss. I just think when you have the ump, it's probably worse than your snoring.
I don't think I have the ump that bad after a loss. I think I certainly don't let it carry over to the next day. I might come in. I think it's more like despondency more than anything else. I don't get angry or aggressive. I'm just more like
no. I think I think obviously,
With
and
you.
I think Karen touched on it. The last few years, there's a level of like, yeah,
Expected.
that's where it's been for the last couple of years. Obviously, a few years ago, I think my mood was probably a little bit more. But also, the other thing is, Karen would have only captured it probably in the morning after the game. So, and by then, you've had an opportunity to sort of come down a little bit and be a little bit more sensible about stuff. But obviously, you know, it's an emotional.
I've only seen you annoyed if people have started getting stupid online and retaliating and just
I'd say that all the
giving
time.
I
abuse
agree with
and
that.
stuff like
Yeah.
that.
You get
'Cause
more.
it can
You get the
change
up more.
It can change the acceptance into just nonsense.
Then they start arguing about probably more for the team because I think it can get quite bitter online for stuff that you say.
Yeah.
And certain people say certain things, and that will rile you up more than the actual loss will.
Yeah.
So I think that will make you become more defensive, I think, of the team because
Yeah.
you get so riled up at people's comments and stuff.
Yeah, stupidity.
I've
Yeah.
had to be defensive after wins, Mike.
Yeah, exactly. That's the world we live in. That is the world we live in. That's like being a Tottenham fan. What's more intense?
Fuck you, right? This is my question.
All right, go on. I'm sorry, go on, mate. Oh yeah, your
It's more
delivery. You were
about
talking
you
about
than
Yeah,
me.
go on.
Karen, what is more intense? Superdome on game day for him or him finding out his favourite pub isn't serving Guinness? And I've
It's
been
a
with him
very
and he's saying
close
that a pub
one.
isn't serving Guinness.
Well, we know how much Michael loves his Guinness. I actually love a Guinness too.
She does
And I
now.
have been
She
to
does
Dublin and had a most beautiful pint of Guinness. And I split the G on my second pint.
Good girl.
No. Was it at the Guinness factory? Because
No.
we
No, we
went
didn't
there.
get there.
We
We didn't get
were there for 4.5 hours, and the kids loved it.
I know.
Hey.
Smells like
He
mine.
has his pride of place glass.
I do. From the Harpers.
I know, that's why I
Yeah.
put up love. But I think more intense would be the atmosphere. It's like personally when I first went, I couldn't believe it in there. It was insane. We walked into Champion Square. There was a full-on concert going on in Champion Square. Like full-on concert. I was like, people would have paid to go in and see. I can't remember who the band was.
Mrs. B was up there as well, didn't she? She got up and did a speech.
It was insane.
And the Stompers.
Honestly, the atmosphere was incredible. No trouble whatsoever. There was no like, you feel like something's going to kick off, or I'm not saying that all football games like that, but you don't know what to expect because it's the first time I've been there. When you got into the Superdome, it was unreal.
Mm.
I mean, the noise, but the atmosphere was insane, wasn't it? It was like,
I mean,
incredible.
It was fortunate, you know, and I know the same for you, Dan. It's fortunate that was your first game in the Dome, was that game. Yeah. Forget about how it ended up. But
when Mario got the interception.
Yeah, the atmosphere was incredible for that day. And obviously Karen's second visit was the following year for the Vikings game, the divisional game. And yet again, you know, it was electric. They were just electric.
They were insane, yeah.
You know, obviously we've been to games since and it's not been so electric. But to have those as your first two visits to the Dome were immense.
That's something special, that is.
Yeah.
It was
I like how the fans all sit together, like literally roasting each other and just gripping each other and just laughing it off.
Do you remember that Bears game when them Bears fans were getting Larry and Joey just throwing and went, what? And started giving it back and they was like, Nyeh.
But even when we went to the tailgate in New York, like fans from the opposing team had set up tents, and it was our first tailgate that we'd been to with the kids and stuff like that. Well, I'd been to with the kids, and they were just inviting us in for a drink. It was just like community. So it's not even just your own team that celebrate.
I remember that Dolphins game in London. I became alpha arsehole because we was like, what are we in 20-0, 21-0 or something like that. And I was standing up in my seat and I was pointing at my jersey like this to all the Dolphin fans, but I was like, oh, I should have got my head kicked in.
Yes.
Ban that fuck up.
But, you know.
That's again as well, is like, obviously I hear so much from Michael, hear so much from obviously like you guys, and And I know, like, even when you were posting, Nick, I was like, oh my God, you guys have done so much. Like, we didn't do anything really. We didn't know the city very well, but I do have little pangs of like, oh my God, like, I'd love to have experienced that, because I think you have, I think you've got the best of, like, the guys have met so many people from going, and then you and the kids got to experience all of that.
Yeah.
You know, the whole community. I can't even comment on the community, really, when you're over there, I mean, because we've never experienced that, have we? As a couple, I mean.
Not together, no.
So I do have these little pangs of like, oh, I wish I kind of like got that. I've got no sense of that at all.
Knock her out.
But the thing about it is there is opportunity. There is opportunity, and that will happen, because it's a different experience now to what it used to be. But also, even when we did go there, you know, we did the tours and a couple of bits, didn't we, which were really good, and we'd have the horse and cart, and
we did.
So we did some stuff. We did magazine, which we really enjoyed.
Yeah. No, but when I say that, I don't mean to say that what we did was rubbish. It's just that it was just us two, and we were just navigating our way around a city that we never knew, but we loved. And it was an amazing city. And obviously, with the games and stuff as well, like game day was amazing. And, well, it wasn't great in the morning for me, but that's another story.
I still need to see that picture. But you got to come.
Dollar.
It was.
Let's start a campaign. Get Karen to New Orleans in 2027. Me and Nick are going to renew our wedding vows there. It'll be our 20th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
I can't renew my wedding vows with, like, one of my best men not having his missus there. It's going to be a nightmare, right?
There you go.
Then you have to shake the bridesmaid.
Well done, mate. Well done. Because that now puts Karen in a position where she wouldn't let you guys down, regardless of sort of what it means for her.
We'll get on a boat.
We'll get you some really strong diazepam.
You can.
Listen, if I can go in business class, you can get a really good deal on business class, and I've got a bed, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Listen.
Do you know what you need to do, Mike? You need to get that A330 Neo into Atlanta, because their first 2 seats turn into a suite, and it don't cost any extra. You just need to book them, and it's like proper. It all folds down anyway. It's the one where you hear when you land.
Stop it.
Anyway, Karen, who do you think's more likely to be recognised in New Orleans, Mike or a low-key British actor going incognito?
She's got a really good answer for this.
Well, I did meet someone famous when we were in, what's that?
We were in
that amazing
30 over 90.
Yeah.
30 over 90.
So, of course, we've been there a few times. We've been over because we loved it, and it was like live music. And it was just all happening. People just getting up on stage. One would play guitar, one would play the piano, and someone else would come on. It was just a lovely vibe, really nice. And I went in there and I saw this guy on the dance floor with 2 other guys.
See what I mean?
No, literally. Saw this guy and I was like, you know, you look at him and go, I know his face. Where do I know him from? And you know, he's like, oh my God, is this someone I know? But I'm like, no. But I know his face. I know him from somewhere. Anyway, he's an actor and he was in Downton Abbey. There's been quite a few other things as well. Ed Spielers. Anyway, came up. Yeah. I think he's been a couple of guys.
So anyway, Karen led a costume.
So I just literally, Michael's there phoning me going, where the hell are you? Like, I think I've been abducted outside this club. And I was like, I'm just chatting to a guy that's been in Downton Abbey from like inside of London. He's like, for God's sake.
He was in You.
Yes, he was in You.
He's a Spurs fan as well. He's a Spurs fan.
Yeah, so he was there with his
dad, wasn't it?
No, his soon-to-be father-in-law and his best mate. Chatted to him he's such a lovely guy. I chatted to him for ages. But yeah, Michael didn't know I was outside chatting to someone. I wasn't chatting to a bloke, I was chatting to him.
Well, anyway, so yeah.
But Michael would be 100% recognised more, I reckon.
What about you, Nick? What do you reckon?
Jesse's hanging about with Jude Law in a minute.
Yeah. I don't know.
Is she?
I don't know what your chances are like.
Yeah, she's teaching him yoga.
Wow.
Jude Law?
Yeah.
Blimey.
Let's put a photo up of him on the stoop somewhere. Depends where it is, right? If you would have rolled me past Jason's house and Max's house and Mark's house and Elise's house, I'm going to get recognised.
But also, can I just say, talking about like people, on our flight, having been to the London Jazz Fest 2 weeks before with Bruce, on our flight was John Cleary, sorry.
Yeah.
He wouldn't let me go and say hello to him.
Who's John Cleary?
Well,
by the
more
way?
pissed off, I wouldn't let you go and say hello to Michael Bublé in Disneyland.
That's true. He doesn't let me do it.
I
just
see
don't get
famous
embarrassing.
people everywhere. No one else spots them. No one else spots them. I'm like, that's so and so. That's so and so. That's him.
He
Nick's
does.
like,
He's got
let
an
me
eye
go and
for
say
it.
hello. And I'm like, no.
They're on
Do
their
it.
holiday.
But if it was Drew
Yeah, but
Brees, I'd be
whatever. If
fucking
you're famous, you're
all over him.
famous. You got to
Like
expect it, innit? Ends off.
Fucking dirty, cheap suit, I'll be on him.
Who was that? Drew Brees.
Yeah, I'll be all over him.
Like a rat.
Exactly.
Rash, like, cheap suit. Cam Jordan, all over him.
You can't even go and say hello to Michael Bublé. What's that about?
He was with his kid, weren't he? Yeah.
So what? They expect it. They
No.
expect.
Give 'em a bit of time.
Stop it. I'll be right in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
This question doesn't make sense either, Mike. It says, if you had to move to New Orleans or live without football, what would you pick? So I think the question is, you can move to New Orleans, but you live without football.
Without the Saints.
You don't move to New Orleans, but you get to have football. What do you choose?
I stay.
Yeah, so basically
you
you move to the city and you can't follow the Saints.
What's the point?
Yeah, it's like, for me, they both, that's the marriage is, yet again, as much as like we love the city and, and we've gone out, obviously out season, we've gone over there a few times. Yeah, it doesn't feel that, and I think the city itself would say it wouldn't feel the same without the Saints.
I think, that was like the thought of being over there for a game excites me more than anything else. I love going over for festivals and things, but
The 3 Fs, festivals, friends and food.
Getting to see football is just, it excites me so much. Would you trust Mike to handle a baby and a beer at the same time in a game? No, because he fucking won us off.
I'd be like, well, where's he gone? I did say that to Michael, and I was like, well, actually, you'd probably be all right because you've got nothing to cheer about recently. So, yeah, you'd be all right.
But you might slam the baby on the ground out of frustration.
I did say no. You were like, I'd be fine. What are you chatting about?
Yeah, I did. I think I would.
Would you trust me with a baby? I fucking wouldn't trust me with a baby. I wouldn't trust me with Dylan.
I did say no, and he was like, I'd be fine.
You're telling me this now before you take him to the games? Because
you won't let me take him to... He wants to go to Atlanta for the away game for the weekend. She said I can't take him. He's a sicko.
For this precise reason.
I'd look after him in Atlanta. We'd take him to Coca-Cola Factory. Martin Luther King's house. Martin Luther King did live in Atlanta, didn't he? I'm sure he did. Well, there's definitely a Martin Luther King museum there.
Anyway.
Take him to see the Falcons.
Yeah, maybe, mate, I'm with you, Nick. I might not trust him, actually. With that attitude, Dan.
Thank you.
With the...
Hey, listen, right? Let me tell you my son's commitment to the cause, right? We was in Florida and we went to see the Orlando Magic play the Atlanta Hawks in basketball. So we turned up in our Pelicans jerseys because we was like, it's Atlanta, fuck 'em. Orlando were winning and people started singing the songs and I was singing along and Dylan went to me, what are you doing? I went, what do you mean? We're Pelicans fans. What are you doing singing Magic songs? I went, because I don't like Atlanta. He went, I thought he was going to look at me and go, I don't give a shit, you prick. Don't sing non-Pelican songs. He was like, well, I'm not singing it.
Dill, we're with you, Dill. Well done, mate.
Do you know what? My heart grew 2 sizes. I was like the Grinch. I was like, oh, my God. Oh, God. Yeah.
God.
Good lad. Good lad.
He was like, fuck them Falcons. Who dat? Who dat? Who dat? I'll teach you that when Nick's around.
Nick's just looking down, thinking, what have I done?
He does love it, though. He does love it.
I love it. I love it. Right. True or false, right?
Yeah.
He's painted his face for a game.
No.
No.
No. It will come. It will come.
It will happen. I'm working on a superfan costume. I say superfan in parentheses. I don't think we're superfans, but I'm working on if I can get it done, I'm going to get it for the game. I don't want to reveal it.
Did you say you don't think you're super fans?
Not in the way I would consider a superfan, but
I think you are a super fan.
You're thinking about obviously all the guys that get dressed up who are known, who are renowned,
Whistle and Max, and
who are able to go to every game. But I think
have you looked around your bars?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Internet.
Karen. Yeah, absolutely.
True or false? He has a Saints tattoo you try not to look at.
Yeah, his first one, which was a Nola one.
Yeah, we touched on this. Let's swiftly move on.
No, you don't like that one, really, do you?
Come on,
It's not, I
Denver.
don't like. It's too big.
My brother-in-law doesn't like voodoo, and I've got a voodoo doll on my arm, and he was like, yeah.
Oh, really?
When we went to New Orleans, he wouldn't touch anything voodoo related, and he
Oh,
wouldn't
that's
even
a bit
try
odd.
Purple Haze. He was like, nope, I'm not doing it. Tried taking a voodoo museum, wouldn't go in. We bought him a voodoo doll for Christmas, didn't we? Or a book on voodoo, and he was like, no, fuck voodoo. Anyway, this is Chris, the same person who left here for the barbecue and had to phone my sister to say, can you find me because I'm drunk and I don't know where I am. Bearing in mind they live like a 10-minute walk from where we live, and she found him walking in circles in the middle of the road. He was so hammered, and he blamed the hurricanes. And I said to him, how can you blame the hurricanes? You added your own rum. He went, yeah, I know, it was good.
And you'd already put.
He didn't even have to, he left at like 11:15. Right. True or false, you've had to drag him out of a Saints bar at least once. You've definitely dragged me out of a Saints bar.
I've never dragged you out of Saints Bar.
You've definitely dragged me out of a bar.
I mean, I've dragged you out of a lot of places.
You sort of dragged me out of 30 over 90, but that was only because we were flying the next day and I wanted to stay. And you were very apologetic.
You dragged me out of Aaron Road because you said it smelled like shit outside.
Oh, yeah, that was true.
Where's
Kids
that?
couldn't go in.
The Aaron Road.
Nick, you better watch
It
your
was
mouth,
right near
girl.
all the-
Watch your mouth.
No, the pub was fine. It was right near all the waste bins.
Oh, yeah, all
kids
the
couldn't go in,
wastewater and
could they?
shit.
Heating up in the sun. Yeah.
Right, this one, I definitely know the answer to this. He's used the Saints chant inappropriately at a formal occasion.
Yeah, we
I've
know
definitely
you have.
fucking done that.
I can't think of it.
Well, you can't think of it. I've definitely done it. You got
That's not-
embarrassed when I shouted at mashed potato at the geezer who was teeing off at Disney on the golf course. And when Nick got to the next tee box, geezer swung. I went, get in the hole! And it was like, what is wrong with you? I was like, it's golf.
Maybe because I don't get it.
You meant to shout random shit out.
You know me. I've shouted out Who Dat at people before, and you're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Shut up."
Yeah, I can't go and say hello to someone famous who's probably
Exactly,
expecting me.
Nick.
Yeah.
I like people shouting Who Dat at me. If you see me in London, shout Who Dat. I'll
I
shout.
agree.
When we
I've
went
spoken
to
to you
Disney,
before, haven't I?
Yeah.
Disney World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we went to Disney World a few weeks ago, the excitement on people's faces, even when they saw that Dan was a Pelicans fan when he had his jersey on, his vest on.
Tulane fan.
Oh, it was Tulane, wasn't it?
Both.
It's like, oh, look, this guy had a jumper on and everything. He was getting the cab to go to the airport. It's like, oh, look. And he pulled his jumper up and he's like showing down.
Pulled his nipple out and I'll give it a little suck.
Right.
Oh,
Pride.
the head's kicking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Karen, has Mike ever done that for you? Well, not for you, but hang on. Has Mike ever made an inappropriate chant about the Saints at a
I
formal
thought you were
game?
talking about the
I
nipple thing.
don't. I don't think I have around Karen, but I have absolutely no doubt that last year when I was watching the game in Rhodes on the Zoom, I was being highly inappropriate because obviously I was watching it on the Zoom on the laptop and I had my headphones on. And you remember how much fun we had watching that Dallas game. I must have been wholly inappropriate in the bars that I was in, but yeah.
Well, yeah, because the week before was the Panthers game when it all went fucking doolally for whatever reason, and then we were vibing off of the next one, because we didn't think we beat the Cowboys. This question, I don't even think I have one of these, but you've secretly hidden his lucky jersey for a game. I don't have a lucky jersey.
No, do I?
No, you don't either.
No.
I've So I always wear Saints socks for a game. I've got, 8 pairs of Saints socks?
Probably.
Or New Orleans-based socks, which I wear for games.
Like with the po' boys on them or the...
Or I wear them Saints pants that Karen made me.
Lucky pants.
Lucky pants.
Lucky
pants.
Where do I look
Even
at
when it's peeled off, you still got the glue shape of the fleur-de-lis.
I literally, I don't know I think it's the vinyl I use because you had some that lasted for so long.
They did.
I think it's the gold.
Yeah.
It's the shit.
But to be fair, Karen, I've bought Nike tops that they've peeled off quicker than those pants.
I think I haven't got a lucky jersey now. I think I'm gonna for the games, my lucky overalls. They're gonna be my lucky thing now.
Wait, listen, right? Them overalls with those New Balance old man trainers I've got.
Nah, they look better on me.
Or you can wear them in October, because if I get my Superfan outfits...
I wore them last year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't fit in yours.
When you were down the front.
Dan's booty couldn't fit in unless he undid the buttons.
That's a funny thing. When we went to the game, it ended up Nick was down the front with Deal talking to the players, and I was on the side taking photos because she knew, again, I wouldn't force the issue. And she was like, she's out there slipping fucking 20s to stewards on the side going, let me in, let me in, let me in.
But you didn't say what else you were doing. I was also turning to Dan every time a player ran towards us going, who is it? What's his name? What's his name? So I knew what name to do.
Players are walking towards them. They'd do like, Juan, Isaiah, Charlie.
And then I'll just copy away.
And then looking around, what the fuck is that geezer chatting at? Rico! No, I fuck knows, I don't even know what Rico Payton looks like. Let me get a number up. Yeah, Rico! And the other one was Jari. Obviously, I knew what Jari was. I was like, Joe. But Jari's hard. Like, when you're there, you see the players and you know the core players. You're like, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so. Then you get them backup players. Like, I looked at one of the guys who signed Dylan's jersey. I went, he was only active for that game and he never played another game for the Saints. Weird.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm not shitting this afraid. He got Cam Jordan to sign it, and John Johnson, and Jake Hayner, who signed the ball
you going
for
on
me.
to your culture shock, mate?
What's the culture shock?
Culture check.
Oh, check, shock.
What's bigger, Mardi Gras? What do you think, Mardi Gras or Christmas?
Christmas.
Yeah, still Christmas, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's our
What about in
personal.
New Orleans? Both.
This is the ladies' round, so that's their calls.
Your call. You decide what you want to answer.
In terms of a celebration, I suppose Mardi Gras is because it goes on for ages, doesn't it, in all parts of the city. But for us personally at home, it's Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas, definitely.
Have you ever tried a hurricane? I'll ask you another question. Ever tried a hurricane? Did you survive it?
I tried a hurricane,
So,
yeah.
it wasn't a hurricane, but what was that purple drink that you were drinking when we were watching the parade, the frozen one?
I got you a hurricane.
Was it a hurricane?
I got a hurricane, then I got a
Potent.
frozen hurricane.
It was a purple one.
No, I got the purple one. Well, maybe I got a different purple one, but the purple drink that me and Mike called a purple drink, I got on the last day, which was when I found myself walking amongst the FBI and not realising I was taking photos of the FBI doing their investigation because I'm an idiot. Yeah, hurricane. You have had a hurricane. Well, you tried it. Me and Steve bought one back, and then we had a frozen one.
And then you made them.
We went to
a couple of weeks
O'Brien's, didn't we?
Yeah, Karen had hers in Pat O'Brien's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
by the different colour fountain.
Yeah,
I mean, those things are potent.
they are.
They are.
They are.
They're too sickly though. Sweet.
Yeah, they're.
Well, I felt
don't
sick
mind
if you
it. It's
remember it
we talk about it before. It's a tradition that is probably one of the first ports of call that we do whenever we go over there. But yeah, more you always think more than one hurricane, especially in Pat O'Brien's, because it's that cloistered, put together stuff. Is way too much, but then you always end up having more than one anyway. So yeah.
I might try and squeeze in there. We land at 8 o'clock in October, so maybe by the time we get to the hotel, put the kids to bed, Nick might be tired. I might nip out for a quick hurricane and then nip back.
Yeah, come and find us because we'll be somewhere.
Or go to strip clubs.
I don't know why he's putting this out. Yeah, I've never seen him in a strip club.
I've never been to a strip club in New Orleans in my life either. I'm saying it for the bands. Go on, slap me.
Delete all my soppy comments I said earlier.
I'm just doing it for the engagement. What is it? What do they call them, Mike? What did Nick Underwood call them? The engagement farmers. Raw fish or fish and chips?
Fish and
I've
chips.
got to go fish and chips because I'm allergic to bloody shellfish.
Oh, of course you are.
I told her to go and get an allergy test because it's prawn she's allergic to.
Do you know, can I be honest? He's been telling me to get an allergy test for years, but
I offered to pay for it.
But I also don't want to have a massive allergic reaction having an allergy test.
Well, you can't have raw fish in October anyway because it's out of season. Don't worry about it.
Never mind.
What's the weirdest thing you've eaten or we've eaten in New Orleans?
Oh my God.
The gator.
Yeah,
It
you
wasn't.
had a
Yeah.
It wasn't weird.
It wasn't
It was
weird,
the
yeah.
size of them. So we were coming. It was when it was our last day. It was their size. They were these chicken wings. We went to the Creole House, which was opposite the hotel we were staying at.
The Creole House opposite the
I know,
Sheraton.
on Canal.
Yeah.
On Canal, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we ordered some chicken wings. I have never, ever in my life seen a chicken wing so fucking big.
Roided up.
They were like fucking mutants. I'm like,
Right.
what bird does this come off? Like,
It was like a pterodactyl wing.
I swear to God.
I mean, they were obscene.
You opened
I've
them
never seen
out.
anything
They were
like-
so fucking long. It was
Sorry,
ridiculous. So I was a bit like, what are you injecting your fucking chickens? Love, what are you doing?
Trying to get by now.
Oh, God, just wait a second.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry. Let's just push past me. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. So That was... What was the question? It's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten. Yeah, we didn't have alligator. You had alligator, didn't you, when you went?
Alligator, yeah. I think do you remember after the morning of I Need $1, we went to a cafe and you ordered a tea and they gave, I don't know.
Oh, I swear to God.
I
nearly punched this guy's fucking head in. I said, can I have a tea, please? And he was like, just like a tea that I can put milk, like black tea I can put milk in. Yeah, no worries. He come out with some...
Can I also remind you, this is the morning of I Need $1.
So he's fucked up already by like...
Fucked up with
when someone is that fucking rough, literally look like they're homeless, because that's the photograph, look like I'm homeless, sitting on the steps of the hotel, I'm crying because I thought like my head's going I'm like a fucking brain hemorrhage. And I go, so when you're in that state, what sort of food do you want to eat? It's a question. What sort of food? Literally, you want to eat bacon and grease and bread and butter and a mug of tea. Yeah. This funny fucker goes downstairs to Starbucks and gets me a pot of fucking fruit. I've never wanted to lamp someone in the face so fucking much. I would have got you a skinny muffin. Like, do you understand the stress that I was in?
It looks to me better than that.
That was the worst part. Then I go to this place and I've literally ordered the biggest plate of food. This is game day. I'm like, I can't fuck this up for Michael. It's game day. And literally, I'm eating it. So I want a cup of tea. And they brought out this lemon and ginger tea bag. I hate ginger anyway. And I was like, no, black tea. Just black tea so I can put some milk. Like, like in England, like tea, a cup of tea, like a mug of tea. I should have put a bit of milk in it. Yeah, that's all we've got. So now I'm like, just want to cry because all I want is a mug of tea and a greasy bacon sandwich. But it wasn't happening. Yeah. So Michael's like, I'll drink it. It's literally like, I fucked up already this morning. I'll drink the tea. I'll give you my coffee. I was like, just fucking have your coffee. I'm going to get a coffee.
With it.
But surprisingly, I was okay.
Good shape.
I don't know how though.
No.
The fucking fruit didn't do it, that's for sure.
Fucking fruit didn't do it. Yeah, so that was actually going back to the question about what's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten in New Orleans. It's probably a pot of fruit when you're hungover.
Yeah, basically.
Yes, yeah, I've not had like the alligator or anything like that, or the ostrich or whatever it is they eat over there.
Hogshead cheese, Mike, is weird. Hogshead cheese, because it's not cheese. It's pate, but it's weird pate.
Oh, I love pate.
We had it in both.
It sounds like something disgusting.
Doesn't it? I was just thinking like, but when you say but it's not cheese, I'm like, what is it then?
If you put hogs out and you just tell the people it's head cheese, I think they'd be like, what?
I think that's what was in my
That's exactly what I'm thinking. You say it's not cheese, I'm like,
yeah.
Do you want some of this smeg on your toast?
Yeah, move on, Dan. Quick.
I'm done with questions.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You've answered them all.
All right, well, we'll put those away.
If you had one final thing to say about us two, would I call us degenerates? Obsessed with a city 5,000 miles away and a team.
I'm just glad you found each other. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
That's so romantic.
I'm glad you have your beautiful bromance. Your bromance is beautiful.
That picture of John Butler, he could be the third wheel in our relationship. He looked well like me in that picture.
Yeah, we'd have to grow a few inches and put on a bit of poundage and solidness.
Unit. He's so big. I'm not saying that in a detrimental way either. He is a fucking unit. I wish I was that big.
Same here.
No.
Lovely geezer. Can't wait for his book to come out. If you listen to this and you don't know what we're talking about, John Butler's writing a book about the Super Bowl winning team. It is going to be amazing. We've seen the players he's interviewed.
It's going to be superb. The people he's interviewed, the effort he's put in, and he does really good stuff. So follow him.
Right. Any final thoughts?
I'd like to thank both the ladies for coming on.
I think we've been quite well behaved, actually.
We have.
Yeah, you have. I think me and Dan have been fairly well behaved.
I've probably played up a little.
I mean, he'd done everything I thought, put his arm in front of my face, interrupt me, take the story as his own.
That's what I mean. He's been fairly well behaved, Nick.
Nick, I think we need to do our own podcast, just us two, where there's no interruptions.
I think
we just do a takeover for a week.
We'll put it out. You record it, we'll put it out, and it will be
associated podcast.
Yeah, do it. Watch the game live and then record it, and we can hear like your questions you've got about why did he.
It will sound something like that geezer's running over there. What have they stopped already? They've literally been running for 10 fucking seconds. Yeah.
What the fuck's a neutral zone infraction? What's going on here?
Literally.
Roughing the passer.
I've got nothing.
Oh yeah, let's not go there.
She likes
He's
Chris.
24. He's like between my children's age.
She likes Chris. It's though you could say that a guy's good looking without
not when
being
he's fucking
pervy.
24.
Have you seen any
Fucking
Saints players that you
criminal.
go, oh, he's a bit of alright?
No, actually. No. Not from a face perspective. I like the thigh muscles, though. That works for me.
I don't let her go and see the Eagles.
No, and I'd be all right if Jason Momoa put on a Saints outfit, but, you know, it's not going to happen anytime soon, is it?
I mean, I don't mind watching him in coverage, but
I've got nothing to say to you guys specifically because I think it's been said. Just like love your connection, and like I said, brothers from another mother. And I think you like my bestie really. I think you two found each other at a time in your life where like you've just lifted each other up. Because sometimes
you raise me
oh,
up.
this is what I mean.
So I
can't even say anything.
I know, Nick. I was getting like so sentimental there, and it was just like.
Right, just absolutely killed the mood. But what I do want to say for the people that are listening is genuinely, for those of you that I've had the pleasure of meeting or talking to, or you've welcomed us into your home, or you've just sent amazing messages and just, I don't know, just
come to our home.
Come to our home, welcomed us into the community and everything. I just want to say a massive thank you, and I hope that our friendships and contact just go on for a really long time. Yeah.
That sounds like a trip to Utah on the agenda. Let's go, G. Let's go, Al.
There you go.
Also, I haven't heard any news on this, Mike, but I'm wearing this T-shirt for a certain guy.
Oh god, yeah.
It's talking about relationship.
Next couple of days, isn't it?
Our guy Jono is expecting imminently expected.
What was that? Say that again. That heartfelt message, Dan. Say that heartfelt message again.
Indubitably. But anyway, right, Jono, the OG when it comes to sharing his relationship with his missus and his relationship with the Saints. This one's a little bit dedicated to you as well. I hope everything goes well with the delivery. Indubitably.
Arrival.
And we can't wait to see you and Carissa being fantastic parents.
Cheers.
Awesome.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers everyone. Thanks a lot. And
Can we get Who Dat?
Who that?
Who that?
Oh, she does it better than me. Fucking hell.